adjourn to Dallas on Sunday, and we'll be down there with full coverage. And, of course, Luke's on the backfields in Owings Mills until then. The Capitals had a big week and certainly played a game in Columbus that they let slip away on Tuesday night. But Wednesday night, we thought tired legs would kick in. That was not the case at all at the Verizon Center as, I'll let Ed Frankovic, our Caps insider, he was there before, during, and especially after a 7-1 victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Ed, we can all sit here and wax on about, our 30 years of knowing each other and, big wins, horrible losses, many of them coming in the late spring, several at the hands of the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's nights like Wednesday night when you look at the Capitals and say, well, where's this team, most of the time? Where's this team in the spring? They laid down a whipping on the Pittsburgh Penguins that probably will not soon be forgotten, right?
Yeah, what a difference 24 hours makes in sports. You and I talked on Wednesday morning about how poorly they played in Columbus, and the effort wasn't there in Columbus. The motivation wasn't there. Same thing in Carolina on Saturday. And Wednesday night, boy, they looked like the team we thought they were, right? That's the team everybody thought they were. They came out and they literally destroyed the Penguins. It wasn't like the Penguins were in the game for a few minutes or it was back and forth. I mean, that 7-1 score was indicative of the way that game was played. And that's what you needed to see from the Capitals. And it just goes to show when a team is motivated and they put the effort out. The effort hadn't been there, and I think it's tied to the motivation. They were motivated to play the Penguins. They really wanted to let them have it. They played the Penguins well in the first game, lost that game in a shootout to start the season. Last night, they clearly they were clicking on all cylinders, and this is the team we thought they were, and they just trounced Pittsburgh.
Well, and then there's TJ Oshie, who was clearly, a major factor in the game on Wednesday night. And the Caps brought him over before last season to think that he could be one of these guys. And he had a really nice year last year. He was a big part of all of the success they had. They had lots of success right on up until the Penguins eliminated them last year. But, this was more like the team we saw last year. This is certainly more like the Nick Backstrom and the TJ Oshie that we've seen in previous years.
Yeah, I think starting with Oshie is a very good place to start because I think he's been probably next to Beagle and maybe Johansson. Actually, next to Beagle, he's the next guy that gives the most effort every night. Even on these nights where the team's not playing hard, Oshie's still out there bringing it. And I really think Oshie's a priority in the offseason. There's people that want to put Kuznetsov and Burakovsky as more important to sign, but if you take a look at the way this team's gone since they got him, I think Oshie's more valuable to the team. And he certainly had that hat trick in Game 1 against the Penguins last year to start that playoff series off, and you thought, well, the Caps are going to finally beat them. And then, then the things happened with Orpik and the injuries on defense, and Kuznetsov kind of disappeared. But he's been fairly consistent this year. Whatever line Coach Trotz has put him on, he's been scoring, and I think he's got 9 goals now. And Backstrom has been struggling. He hasn't been shooting the puck, and he did shoot on Tuesday night. He had the 1 goal, and he had another goal waved off because of an offside. But on Wednesday night, Backstrom was a beast. I mean, he totally abused Sidney Crosby in this game. Nicholas Backstrom's faceoffs 18-9. Crosby was 8-18. Almost all of them against each other. Crosby -3. Backstrom 5 points. I mean, Nicky went out there with a purpose, and about as I wrote at WNST.net after the win, about the only thing you could count on Sidney Crosby for in this game was yelling at the referees.
Well, and then there's Ovechkin, right? And I don't know at what point he starts to sort of lose half a step or not be as dominating as he's been. He has not been as dominating this year as maybe he has in previous years. I mean, I don't want to say I don't notice him, but I don't feel like everything goes through him perhaps the way it once did. And maybe that's a factor of Trotz. Maybe that's a factor of him having even more talented guys around him. But it feels to me like he's not going to be able to carry the whole thing the way he once did. That it's going to be about Backstrom. It's going to be about Johansson. It's going to be about Oshie. And it needs to be about Kuznetsov and Burakovsky, who have been, closer to invisible than productive this year so far.
Yeah, Ovechkin, he's 31 now, and he's in the declining years. Now, he's still the game's best goal scorer, and he's had some dominant games, but he did have a 4-game goalless streak that he broke last night with a nice breakaway after he left the game for a little bit. He got tripped corkscrewed by Chris Letang and landed, I believe, on his wrist or his arm and left for a couple minutes and came back for the third period and scored a breakaway goal. I think he's still I think a little too much of the focus on the power play, on the 5-on-4 power play. And we can talk about the power play in a minute. But
Well, you got to get to the power play first, right? I mean, if you can't draw penalties, you're not going to be on a power play, right?
That's a great point. They drew 7 power plays on Wednesday night, and as I blogged after the Columbus game, and that blog I know a lot of people read, and I hope you still go out and read it, I stuck it to the team pretty good for their lack of effort and pointed out that the low number of power plays were coming from that effort. They weren't drawing penalties. That was not the case against the Penguins. I mean, they could have got a few more power plays, but at some point the referees can't call everything. And the Capitals had 7 power plays again on Wednesday night. They scored on 2 of them, a 4-on-3 and a 5-on-3. Oshie's 4-on-3 goal came with 8 seconds left in that first period to really put the dagger in Pittsburgh and make it 3-0. And then Justin Williams finally gets a goal. He's been struggling to score. He's been getting chances, but he finally scored on a 5-on-3 in the third period. But they had 5-on-4 opportunities, didn't score on any of them. They still got to fix that. It's not clicking there. Part of that's Ovechkin, part of that's Carlson struggling with an injury that he had in the World Cup that he still isn't totally over. But that's still, if there's anything you can complain about on Wednesday night, you really can't. It was they didn't score 5-on-4 in the power play.
Well, and they had so many power play opportunities. They had the game was chippy, right? I mean, as you would expect, Pittsburgh doesn't like looking up and seeing it 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. There's a pride factor on that side. They raised the Stanley Cup banner a couple of weeks ago. They won the Stanley Cup a couple of months ago. This team looks a little shell-shocked right now, right?
I love that you point out the banners because I don't know if you saw this or not, but there was a
yeah. Tell everybody about that because I was into that and I tried to explain it to my wife and she looked at me like, they got the Stanley Cup. What are you trying to do, intimidating them by raising your conference banner?
Well, yes. I mean, the Capitals had raised that earlier, but I mean, let's say basic teams put up division flags and that's what the Orioles do it. The Ravens, not the Ravens. The Orioles do it. Teams of baseball put it up. They won the championship. So the Capitals had a banner up there. I guess the Pittsburgh account decided to take a picture of the Stanley Cup champion banner and put the Capitals Metropolitan Division banner up next to it. Now, the Capitals did have a President's Trophy banner up there, too, that they didn't take a picture of, and kind of made fun of the Capitals. And the Capitals were already motivated enough to play Pittsburgh on Wednesday night, and I got to think that got in there somehow. And that was 60 minutes of a butt kicking, and I'm sure every one of those guys had it with the guys in black and gold.
For the Caps, and I guess the goaltending situation will be brought up, and how Braden Holtby's playing. Clearly, good enough to pitch a shutout for most of the game on Wednesday night. But by and large, we've talked about this. The defense was suspect several years ago. They didn't play a whole lot of defense before Trotz rolled in here. Defense in front of him is a big part of this, and how they're choosing to play it, and also the balance of 5-on-4 versus 4-on-5. And at various points last night, they needed a bigger penalty box for the Penguins.
Yeah, the Penguins certainly got frustrated and started taking some terrible penalties. Crosby with a cross check or a slash, and then Malkin takes his own goalie out of the game, going after Carl Hausner, hits him, takes his helmet off, and then inadvertently hits him with a stick in the head, and that knocked Matt Murray out of the game when it was 2-0. And poor Marc-Andre Fleury had to come in and face the onslaught of the Caps. He actually played pretty well in that second period because the Capitals only got 1 goal, but it was 13 6-inch shots, and Caps were all over them. It could have easily been more going in the third period. The Capitals just never let up. And then, I thought Holtby made some big stops. He didn't face a lot of rubber, 26 shots. The Capitals had 39, which was great after seeing 22 and 21 in the 2 games before it. They had 22 by the second period on Wednesday night. But Holtby, the only goal he allowed was a rebound goal that Orlov doesn't tie up Phil Kessel with like 3.5 minutes left. But by and large, goaltending is not an issue for Washington. The Capitals are getting good goaltending between Holtby and Grubauer. The defense is still a little bit of a concern. Carlson hasn't scored a goal yet. He's playing with Orlov, breaking in a new partner. And Orlov, as I just mentioned, he's not very good in his own zone, and he doesn't tie up Kessel there. That's a play in the playoffs in a tie game. A rebound sitting there. If you're not tying up your defenseman, tying up your forward, they're going to score those goals, and that's a big concern with me. Number 9, he's a concern right now, and as you mentioned earlier, Kuznetsov and Burakovsky, more Kuznetsov than Burakovsky, but I'm concerned about those 3 players.
Well, Kuznetsov, even more interesting. I mean, on a night when they score 7 goals, he's not involved in any of them. 2 for Oshie, 2 for Backstrom, 1 for Ovechkin on the breakaway. Justin Williams got involved. Orlov got involved. I mean, assists for everybody. Backstrom was involved all night long in points. Burakovsky was on the ice and assisting in Ovechkin's breakaway, but Kuznetsov shut out and also went to the sin bin for a stupid high sticking penalty. I don't know where the wake-up is for him or the level of frustration, and I know, Trotz is probably a little tight-lipped about it, but, what do you do to get a guy like him going?
He certainly could have got 4 minutes on that high stick. That was a good point. I really thought he got away with one there because he did catch the Penguin player right in the lip and cut him, and that should have been 4 minutes.
And the game was 4-0 at that point. It was kind of stupid, right?
Yeah, it was like, let's get this thing over with. But Kuznetsov, I'm not sure what's going on. I know he is an unrestricted free agent after this year, so I don't know if the contract's weighing on his mind. He's certainly...
Well, he's costing himself money. There's no doubt about that, right?
Yeah, he's becoming less of a priority the way he's playing. I mean, you want to have centers and everything, but people are like, well, they're not going to be able to afford Oshie. And I look at who's going to be the key free agents after this year: Burakovsky, Kuznetsov, Alzner, and Oshie. And right now, I'm putting Oshie right up there at the top with Alzner. And but anyways, Kuznetsov, whatever's going on with his game, he's just not going to the hard areas. You look at last night, the Capitals finally went to the hard areas on the rink, and Kuznetsov, I hate to say it, but he's circling. He's not going into the areas where you're going to get points, where you're going to get shots, where you're going to score goals or set up goals. He's coming into that zone, and he's peeling off, and it's almost like he's afraid of contact, or I don't know if he has an injury, but he's just not playing well. He's not playing with confidence. He's not going to the areas where you need to be to score, and he's making too many east-west passes. He's a big problem on nights when the other guys aren't going. He's just not playing well at all right now.
Ed Frankovic is our Caps insider. He was at the rink on Wednesday night when the Caps did the dirty work of a 7-1 victory, breaking a 2-game skid in an ugly loss in Carolina on Saturday night, and an ugly overtime loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets on Tuesday night. The Caps get off the schneid. They certainly did not have a very good week last week, but have bounced back now. They get the Detroit Red Wings, who aren't the Red Wings of old, as we'll point out, on Friday night, as well as the Columbus Blue Jackets on Sunday. They got some home cooking. I mean, they're home through Thanksgiving, through the pumpkin and the eggnog and the turkey and all that good stuff that we're going to be doing next week. They don't go away until next Saturday when they play in Toronto. 4 games this week: Detroit, Columbus, St. Louis, and Buffalo. Maybe a time that this could be a little jumping off point for them to get hot again.
Well, yeah, they've played a lot of road games so far, and it's good to get that home cooking. The one thing we've talked about the last 2 mornings, you and I, is the motivation. And I think they'll have some motivation to play Detroit, especially with their buddy Mike Green over there. Detroit's a team you can get up for, a well-known organization. Columbus, hopefully they have some energy for them on Sunday because they just beat them. But then would you say it was St. Louis and Buffalo in there?
St. Louis and Buffalo next week, yep.
Yeah, so they'll be motivated for St. Louis. Buffalo will be a tough one to get up for. I mean, let's be honest, this season is so long, 82 games, and last year they put so much of a focus on the regular season, not losing 2 games in a row, and you can make the argument that they kind of ran out of gas in the playoffs, and some of the injuries hit, and Trotz has certainly cut back the minutes of some of the key guys to prepare for the playoffs, with Ovechkin being one of the most notable at his age. So they have a chance to get really well at home. It's just, can they put out the effort? You're not going to see that kind of effort that they did Wednesday night in these games because you just can't do it. That was a special game. That was rivalry night on NBC. That was the Penguins taunting them with their banner tweets. That was payback for the playoff last year. The Capitals were supremely motivated. But this team is good, and I think it's the best crew of forwards they've had in years. So if they can put forth an effort, a strong effort, they should be able to win a bunch of these games at home coming up.
Weird start time on Sunday at 12:30 against Columbus, and then a very weird start time next Friday on Black Friday after Thanksgiving. It's a 5 p.m. drop down in D.C. on the holiday, on the back end of the holiday against the Buffalo Sabres. Ed Frankovic can be found at WNST.net. He's also Ed Frankovic out on Twitter, and you can find him off my Facebook page as well. We get together a couple times a week and talk Caps hockey. It is one of my favorite things to watch and see and do, especially this time of the year in between these football games. I'm headed to Dallas this weekend. You can follow all of our coverage at WNST.net. If there's any breaking news on roster maneuverings or ups and downs and injury reports, as well as the Orioles, you'll get it first on the WNST Tech Service. That is brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Our morning newspaper ships to your email inbox at 7 a.m. each and every morning. That's brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. And last but never least, anything you missed, you can find in the Buy a Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day out at WNST.net. You can also download the TuneIn Radio app. We come in crystal clear from wherever you enjoy football or baseball or basketball or hockey. It's what we do. I'm Nestor. Nasty at WNST.net reaches me. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, and streaming live on Facebook Live, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.